Over nearly 3 decades in real estate, I've seen one thing stay true in every market. The agent who controls the listing presentation controls their income. That moment across the table with the seller is where everything begins. It's where you earn their trust or lose their confidence, and that single moment decides what happens next. Whether you walk out with a signed agreement or another will think about it. Inside my own business and in the businesses of the agents I've coached, this presentation has helped us close hundreds of homes consistently and predictably, year after year, and it's not luck. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that, the framework behind a listing presentation that makes sellers say yes every single time. Let's get started. But before we dive into the step-by-step process, let's talk about why most agents lose listings in the first place. Many assume it's about price or commission, but the real reason goes deeper. Sellers want certainty. Certainty that you understand their goals, that you have a clear, and that you will guide them through the process with skill and confidence. When that certainty isn't there, hesitation creeps in. A listing presentation isn't a slideshow. It's an experience that produces clarity, direction, and trust. That's the difference between being another agent they interviewed and being the agent they choose. And that begins with the moment you arrive. Your listing appointment actually begins long before you shake the seller's hand. First impressions matter. Arrive early so you can gather your thoughts, observe the neighborhood, and get into a confident state of mind. One of the things I like to do is listen to high energy music, something like AC/DC, to get into a powerful, focused mindset. As you approach the home, pay attention to the surrounding properties so you're informed about the local market trends. Then ring the doorbell, smile warmly, and offer a genuine compliment. The first few seconds set the tone for everything that follows. When the seller opens the door, don't rush into business. Ease into the conversation with something natural and light. Look for photos, awards, hobbies, anything in the home that gives you a starting point for a genuine human connection. Before people trust your plan, they need to feel comfortable with you. Once rapport is established, guide them with confidence toward the kitchen table. Leading them into the table anchors you as the professional and keeps you in control of the appointment. Before I go into the 5-step infallible listing system, I want to show you the exact way I set the stage with every seller. This is one of the most important parts of the entire appointment, and 99% of agents skip it. Before I jump into a listing presentation, I always start with one simple question. I'll say, "Before we begin, may I share with you how I work?" It's a small question, but it does something powerful. It earns permission, it builds trust, and it positions me as the professional guiding the process. Once they say yes, I bring up something that almost every seller is unfamiliar with. I ask, "Are you familiar with what we call an expired list?" Most of the time they'll say, "No, what's that?" So I explain it. I'll say, an expired list is simply a list of homeowners who, just like you, had plans to move, but for some reason the home never sold. And then I hold up the printed expired list. I tell them these homeowners all had two things in common. Number one, they wanted to sell, but the home didn't sell. Number two, they and their agent should have never agreed to work together. Something broke down. It might have been the marketing, it might have been the communication, it might have been the pricing, preparation, or expectations. But something in that relationship failed. And as a result, so did the sale. Then I ask, would you agree that we don't want something like that happening to us? They always say, no, of course not. And that's when I say, me either. And that's exactly why I created a 5-step infallible process. a process that removes the guesswork and dramatically increases the likelihood of a smooth sale. Then I ask one more question, a very intentional one. May I share it with you? And right there, that's the moment when I have their full attention. That's when they lean in. That's when the appointment shifts and I take complete control of the process. At this point, you might be wondering why I even bring up the expired list in the first place. When I first learned this, my mentor Floyd Wickman shared a rule of thumb that changed everything for me. The fear of loss is a greater motivator than the opportunity to gain. And he was right. Believe it or not, sellers are often more motivated to avoid ending up on an expired list than they are excited about being on a sold list. Now that we have their full attention, this is where we introduce the 5-step infallible process. And really, all we're doing here is laying out the roadmap for the entire presentation. So let's go through each step. I'm going to start by asking you a series of questions. Yes, it's important that we get your home sold, but it's just as important that I fully understand your motivation, your goals, and why this move matters to you. When you say this, you're sending a powerful message. You care about them, not just the transaction. Remember the old saying, people don't care what you know until they know you care. And here's a nice add-on you can use. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, when we scheduled this appointment, I asked you several questions about your motivation and about the home so I could prepare for tonight. I have those answers here, but now that both of you are here together, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Does that sound okay? They will always nod or say yes. Once I'm crystal clear on everything, we'll get up and take a look at the home. I'd love for you to show it to me as if I were a buyer walking through your home the very first time. Then add, and with your permission, I may point out a few things that could help your home show better or sell faster. Would you be okay with that? By asking permission up front, you gain the right to provide honest, critical feedback without offending them. After the walkthrough, we'll come back to the kitchen table and I'll show you exactly how we market and sell homes. Step by step, this is our customized marketing plan. Then invite them into the process. And while we go through this, I'd love for you to tell me what you feel makes your home special so we can incorporate that into the marketing. This builds collaboration and buy-in. Step 4 is where we talk about pricing and what you can expect to walk away with after the expenses. We'll review comparable sales, current market conditions, and your estimate of net proceeds so you can make an informed decision. And finally, in step 5, we'll go over the paperwork, the process, and the timing. Everything from preparing the home to going live to what happens once you receive offers. Then close with, and once you've gone through all 5 steps, we will be in a great position to make a mutual decision. Either we move forward together or we decide it's not a fit. Either way, we'll both feel great about the clarity we've created. Does that sound good to you? So once you go through all 5 steps, you then start at step 1 and go through the questions. Before you present anything, you must understand everything. The most persuasive tool in sales isn't a pitch, it's a question. The Hathaway study showed that the more questions you ask, the more trust you build, and the higher your success rate climbs. So use a structured questioning pattern that uncovers their story. First, ask a situation question. Where are you moving to? And why? When do you have to be there? What type of home are you looking for there? Have you found one yet? I like to ask these 2 questions. Are you talking to any other real estate agents? Are you considering selling the home yourself? By asking these questions, you are not planting a seed that they're now going to consider them. But I have found that if you don't ask, they're not typically going to give this information up front. When it comes to questions, start with the basics. Others come up during the presentation. Just make sure you are having a free-flowing conversation, not an interrogation. Remember, you are a real estate agent consultant, not an investigator. Once you clearly understand their motivation, it's time to walk through the home. Always ask permission before suggesting improvements. Would it be okay if I point out a few things that can help you net more? This keeps the seller receptive. During the tour, highlight strengths, identify opportunities, and show expertise without overwhelming them. This is where sellers see that you're not guessing, you're assessing strategically. With rapport established and the walkthrough complete, we come back to the kitchen table and transition into the laptop presentation. This is where I explain our marketing strategy, not just how we sell homes, but how we expose your home to as many qualified buyers and agents as possible. I've always believed that as a real estate consultant, we don't sell homes in the traditional sense. What we really do is educate our clients on what's happening in the market, the good, the bad, and everything in between, and then show them the strategies that separate us from other agents. I also talk about the 3 things that actually sell a home: price, condition, and location. Location is out of our control, but we can acknowledge the realities of it. If the home sits near power lines, backs to a busy street, or is close to something that could concern a buyer, I point that out. Reasonable sellers understand this, and just as important, I highlight the positives. Maybe it backs to a pond, a lake, a golf course, or has exceptional privacy. Then I talk about the condition of the property. I explain that if they want top dollar, the highest price the market will bear, then the home needs to be in the best possible condition. That may include painting, updating flooring, repairing electrical or plumbing issues, or addressing any deferred maintenance. Because if they don't fix it, buyers will almost always want a discount. Every neighborhood has a high number and a low number, and the combination of location and condition determines where the home will fall on that spectrum. And that brings us to the third factor, price. Once we reviewed the location and condition, the price is ultimately what determines whether the home sells. When we're honest about all 3, price, condition, and location, we set the right expectations, attract the right buyers, and maximize the chances of generating strong offers, possibly even multiple offers. With trust established and marketing understood, you're ready to talk numbers. Pricing is emotion wrapped in logic. Use your CMA to walk them through how pricing impacts showings, days on market, and final net. Go over estimated proceeds so they see the big picture. The goal here isn't pressure, it's clarity. When sellers understand the logic, they feel in control. Before you close, briefly walk through the paperwork, listing agreement terms, timelines, and what to expect between now and closing. Explaining the process removes fear. You're not just selling them, you're preparing them. Now you bring everything together. Summarize what they told you earlier, their goals, their timeline, their concerns, then tie your plan directly back to those needs. Say, if I can demonstrate how we can achieve your goals, would there be any reason not to move forward today? If objections come up, address them calmly and directly. Most of the time, sellers just need reassurance. Guide them confidently toward the listing agreement. What would it take for us to move forward today? When sellers feel your professionalism and calm certainty at the end, they're not just saying yes to your system, they're saying yes to you. Every great listing presentation has one goal: to earn trust through structure, clarity, and calm confidence. If you want help building a predictable, referral-based real estate business using the same systems I've used with agents for years, check out the Realtor Roadmap. It's the step-by-step program where I help agents set up the exact weekly plan, prospecting model, and listing framework that create consistency month after month. If you're interested, the first link in the description is for you. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and I'll see you in the next video.